Okay, good afternoon. Right, so last time we started discussing HTML. So actually we have discussed the most important things last week. Okay, so remember we discussed that when it comes to web development, we have the client-side technologies and server-side technologies. And what are the client-side technologies? HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. HTML for markup your web page, web content. CSS for styling, and JavaScript is for client-side programmatic things. Okay. So then we moved on to HTML. Okay, HTML. Remember, HTML is a W3C standard. Okay, W3C, World Wide Web Consortium standard. And of course, it's a markup language, right? Markup language that we use to mark up. And HTML is sort of a derived from, not officially, XML. Okay. So remember, XML means meta markup language. So if you create a language based on XML standard, we can say it's XML based language. So XML based language can be used for presentation as well as storage and data transmission, where you need to present things in a very, very structured manner. If you want to present something in a structured manner, we can use XML based language. So HTML is not officially XML based. Officially, it is the XHTML which is XML based. But when we write HTML, it's a very good practice to write your HTML as a sort of a XML based language. Don't write XHTML. So therefore, we discuss what are the basics of XML. You can have only tags or elements. Tags represent major concept. Attributes provide additional information about that concept. And entities is a placeholder for something else. So then we discuss the well-formness rules defined by XML. There can be only single root. Every tag must have a closing tag. Tags must be properly nested. So today when we write HTML, because today it's 100% practical session, we will follow these rules. Okay. So then we moved on to HTML tags. So what are the basic tags? Of course, the HTML tag is that root tag, that you can have only one root tag. So then you have the body tag, head tag, right? Body tag, head tag. So head tag can be used for title, some meta tags, and of course you can have CSS and JavaScript here. Only the title is displayed to the user. That is again in the window title bar. But most of the contents, or all the contents that show in the body of the web page is whatever you have written in body. But remember, other than that, you can write CSS and JavaScript also in the body. Okay. Right. So now we'll take one by one those tags and go through. Okay. Right. So we will start with let me open this. Right. So let me continue from that point. Right. We discuss all these things. Right. So this is the basic structure. And when you write HTML, HTML tags are not case sensitive, but I will always use all simple because otherwise you need to frequently change cases. Usually software developers, web developers use all simple for tags because it's easier. And also software developers always indent your code so that your code look very nice, easy to understand. Okay. So first thing is the doc type. So doc type is not a tag, right? Doc type is not a tag. Basically, doc type says it's a HTML document, right? Because browser will get different things like HTML documents, sometimes images like vector graphic images and some other data. So therefore, it's good to say that upfront this is this particular type of document, because the web browser get these pages or files as set of data packets. And usually data packets are related, the first set of data packets are related to the top part. And say this is your HTML page. So first data packets will be related to the first part of the document, and then last parts, data packet related to the last part will be coming at last. So therefore, your first set of data packets will say, because this is usually the first statement in your page, browser that okay, these data packets are related to a web page. So then browser can do the background things because it knows that this is another web page. Okay, right. So that is what doc type is all about. It is not a tag. It's just say less than sign, exclamation mark, doc type, space HTML and close it. Right? It's called doc type declaration. Okay. And it's optional, but it's a best practice. Okay. And if you have any questions or anything to clarify, let me know. I can explain it again. Okay. Right. So then how to write HTML comments? If you want to, that comment being browser, ignore it. But if someone look at the view source from the browser, still that person can see it. But whatever inside a comment is ignored by the browser. So therefore, then someone will ask, what is the use of comment? So basically that is for your documentation purpose and some hints and so on, so that you can later, maybe later you know that this is the reason for that, this particular part of the code. So how do you write it? Exclamation mark, minus, minus, then your comment, and then minus, minus, greater than. So it can be single line or multi-line. Okay. So that is how you write comments in HTML. Then of course you have the head section where you can have the title, CSS or JavaScript. Right. So how to write CSS and JavaScript will be covered when we do CSS and JavaScript. But for the time being, we will only look at the title and meta tags. Okay. Right. So then you have the body tag. Again, you can have the contents and CSS and JavaScript. Okay. Right. So now let's go into the head section in detail and finish it. Then go to the body section. And of course, when body section is done, HTML is done. Okay. So as I told you, head section can have the title, metadata, CSS contents, JavaScript contents. So title is the one that is displayed in your browser title bar. Okay, browser title bar. So let's do it in a practical manner. I will share you the code at the end of the session. Right. So you don't need any editor or anything to study HTML. It's always good to not to use any editor. Just use Notepad or maybe maximum Notepad++, because then only you learn it properly. Otherwise, it will generate the codes and everything. You don't know what is happening. Right. Right. So I create a folder called HTML, just to keep everything. So then you can just create a text document. Right. So I'll call it 01 hello dot HTML. HTML must be the extension. Right. So then just enter. So then you can edit it using, I will first edit using Notepad. Later I will move to Notepad++. Okay. Right. So now you can write your tags. Okay. So the root tag is HTML. I always write tags as pairs. That is the best practice. When you write code, you code according to the logic. So therefore, it's not like writing essay. Essays we write from top to bottom. But web pages, you write it, it's like a blossoming of a flower. So whenever you write your first start tag, you must write your ending tag. So then you do it in a proper manner. You do it in a very logical manner. So software developers, web developers always write code like this. So if someone write code from top to bottom, then the others knows that this guy doesn't know web development. This guy has no idea about uh, HTML. This guy is just typing something. Okay, as simple as that. Right. So now I have the HTML tag. So I'll indent so that things are very nice. I use tab, not the space bar. Say head. Remember, always I write the closing tag. And then body. You can do it with me parallelly. Closing body. You can see I have not violated any of the XML well-formedness rules. There can be only single root tag, yes. Every tag must have a closing tag, yes. And tags must be properly nested. Yes. So after closing head and body only, I close HTML. Right. So in the head part, right? So we can have the title. Say my first page. So that is the only thing that is visible that is coming from the head. Now you can open your web page in browser, whatever your favorite browser. Usually when you are doing HTML, CSS, I highly recommend you to use Firefox because Firefox has a lot of features to troubleshoot and identify issues. Okay. So let's open with Firefox. Right. Of course, you can see the web page is black, but at least you can see there's a title, my first page. Okay, my first page. So because we only have the title yet, right? So then what else you can have? Of course, whatever comes in the body will be displayed in the body. For example, it can be H1, heading 1, say heading 1. So just save it, refresh it. Okay, save it, refresh it. Right. So that is your title tag. Okay, title tag. So title tag is used here. And also if you don't have proper meta tag, in search results also it will be used. For example, if I type, say, Aurora, so it goes to the website. So you can see these things are coming from, if you don't have meta tag, these things can come from your title as well. Okay, so therefore title will be used not only in the web browser, in the search results also, especially when you don't have a proper meta tags. Okay, so therefore it's a very important thing when it comes to search engine optimizations. Okay, right. So then we can have the meta tags. Meta tags. So meta tags are used to help. Uh, One usage is give you some information to the browser. Usually those are not display related things. Second thing is we can use meta tags to give more details to the web crawlers or the web spiders. Remember, when you have a website or web application, especially website, there are two type of visitors. Human visitors. So they come to view your website, view your web page. Then you have the web crawlers or spiders. So those are mainly coming from, because when you have a website in internet, anyone can access it. You have not restricted. Anyone who has access to the internet can come to your website, visit your website. So therefore, not only humans, these crawlers also visit your website. Especially those crawlers are used by search engines like Google, Bing. Okay. And these days, generative AI also visit your websites to collect knowledge like ChatGPT. Okay. So they come to your site and extract your data right, and so on. Especially, we really like search engine coming to our website, because then only they know about our website and they can give our website as a search engine result. So therefore, we not only need to treat the human users, we need to treat web crawlers so that they help us. So we help them so that they can help us popularizing our website. So that is where the meta tag play a big role. Okay, so we can use meta tag to show what are the keywords for our website web page. So we can give a description about each and every web page in that meta tag, some other information like authors and so on. Okay. So meta tag is a very general tag, and it's a contentless tag. So therefore, either you can write meta tag as something like this, but because it's a contentless tag, usually you don't give anything here. So if you don't write anything here, usually we call it contentless tag. For the contentless tag, usually easier way is you write it like this. So this is not the starting tag or closing tag. This is to represent both these tags. Okay. So therefore, most of the time when I write meta tag, I will use this format. But if someone write only the starting tag, still don't worry, just take it as a correct one, because web browsers are not very strict about those rules, because web browsers don't expect your HTML page to be XML based. Okay. But we'll follow the best practices. Right. So the meta tag has only two key attributes, major attributes, name and content. So that name can be anything you want, content can be anything you want. But there are some standard name and name values that most of the search engines, and so it's sort of a standard now. So one is keywords, where you can give your keywords. So then the description, again the meta tag, name, description, then you can give under content at your description. So then maybe author. So on the content, who is the author of this web page? Okay. So you can see it's a very general tag. It's a very general tag where you can give anything for your name and the value. But just because you give anything for name, it doesn't mean that your web crawlers will understand it. So therefore, there are some standard names like keywords, description, author. So try to use those standard names. Okay. Right. So that is called meta tag. Of course, if you write a meta tag in your page, the display wise, nothing will happen. Nothing will happen. But anyway, I write a meta tag. Meta. It's a contentless tag. I write like this. So then I say name, say description or keywords. So then the content. So if it is our website or something, I will say BIT, A-level ICT, even comma separated is okay, and FIT and so on. So it depends on your website. Name and content. Of course, now I saved it, but if I refresh the page, of course, it is not going to do anything, right? Because it's just a meta tag. It's mean for uh, web crawlers, not for humans. Okay, so no visual difference, but it's handy. Okay, right. Key name, content. So then, so what are the two things that we are interested? Meta tags, any number of meta tags with different name, and of course the title. And of course, CSS and JavaScript will take separate. Right now we move on to the body section. So body section is where you have all your visual contents, visible contents. Okay, visible contents. Let me open it again. Right. So remember, body section, you can have CSS and JavaScript also, but we will take that later. Okay. So yeah, so that is another meta use of meta tag. So char set means character set. Character set. So most of the time we use UTF-8. UTF-8 means the very basic level. How do you call it? Unicode, right? So if you use only English character set and only standard characters, you can say char set UTF-8. But if you use some other characters from other languages like Sinhala, Tamil, Chinese, so you need to change it to the relevant UTF version. Okay, relevant UTF version. Okay, so therefore it's always a good practice to give your char set, especially if your web page has non-English characters. If it is only having English characters, usually you don't have to give. It will assume that it is UTF-8, right? But if you have something like Tamil, Sinhala, again, it's not a must, but it's a best practice to give the relevant char set, whether it's UTF-16, UTF-32, and so on. But again, it's optional because by looking at the characters, it can determine the character set as well. So therefore, it's not a must to give the char set, but it's just like the doc type, right? Giving doc type is not a must, but it's best practice. So similarly, giving the char set is again a best practice, so that we upfront says use this particular character set, right? Use this particular character set. So we upfront say it to the browser. Okay, so that is called that is another use of meta tag. Actually, I forget to mention about that. So there it's not name and value content. It's just the char set and your char set value. So there's another way to give your character set, but this is the modern approach, use of the meta tag. Okay, right, right. So again, it is nothing that we can see. It is again for the browser. Okay, right. So now let's move to the body section. So body section, you have all the contents. Okay, your H1, H2, paragraph, table, image, right? Forms and so on. So many tags, hundreds of tags are there. But all those tags we can subdivide into two categories. So this understanding these two categories is very important. So every tag is either block tag or inline tag. Okay, block tag or inline tag. So if it is a block tag, after that tag, whatever the contents goes to the next line. That is if your tag is a block tag. But if your tag is inline tag, like A, right, the content will not go into the next line. The content will be right of that current content. Okay, so I'll explain it like this. Right, remember H1 or even paragraph is a block tag. So this H1 is a block tag. So if I have another content, like even something like this, right? Even something like this. So this content goes to the next line because H1 is a block element. H1 is a block element. Okay, so now if I refresh this, you can see this content is in the next line. So this content is in the next line because H1 is a block element. Okay, but if this tag is something like bold or something, bold is not a block element, it's an inline element. So therefore this hello will be after heading 1. Hello will not go into the next line. You can see. So that is the difference between block element and inline element. So B is an inline element. Hello, sorry, something like P is a block element. Even tags like image, hyperlinks, right? Those are inline elements. Now P is a block element, so therefore this hello will go to the next slide. So those are very important. Otherwise, you lose marks in the exams also, because if you don't know that the content is coming to the same line. So if the output, expected output, the next line, the other content must be in the next line. So then you lose marks, right? You lose marks. So in this kind of situation where it's a inline tag like ball, right? Now, of course, it's an inline tag. So now if you want to get this into the next line, you need to have the BR tag. So BR will, again, it's a contentless tag. So therefore I just close it from here. So BR is a tag that add an extra line. Extra line. But again, you can see it's just take it to the next line. Right? It's not actually adding extra lines, just force you to the next line. But this is now if I change this to P tag, now you don't need BR anyway, but you can see that when you have P tag, there's an extra line also, but BR tag doesn't have that extra line. Now here you can see uh, this is with the BR, okay, because bold is a inline tag. Now I change it to paragraph. Now look at what happens. The hello will be little bit below because paragraph is a block tag. There will be extra line also. Now look, when I refresh, look at the difference. Now you can see hello is below. So therefore, block tags will even add an extra line. Right? Even add extra line. Okay. But BR will not add an extra line. BR will just take the content to the next line. So therefore, now this is first line, second line, third line. So block elements add extra line to the content. Okay. So that is super, super important at the very beginning. Every tag is either block tag or inline tag. So those are the important things. Anyone can understand what is bold tag, what is table tag, what is IMG tag. So what happens is they concentrate on those things rather than learning or understanding the idea behind, the concept behind HTML. So once you understand the concept behind HTML, when the exams are nearing, your confidence will be super high. Otherwise, when the exams are nearing, you will be highly stressed because without understand, you try to memorize things. Okay. Right. So now let's move on to text related contents. So what are the text related tags? We have the paragraph tag. We have heading tags. Okay. So then we have some text formatting tags. Of course, text formatting is a bad thing. Use of tag HTML for text formatting because it is something to do with the styling. But anyway, as I told you, so they introduced those things at the beginning. So therefore, still people use it, and no one can say wrong, but it's not a best practice. But anyway, in the exams, you must know all the text formatting tags. Okay. So if you want, you can add text freely as well. For example, this is nothing, right? So this is needs not a paragraph or heading one, no. So still you can add. Right? Say 1, 2. But remember, there's another thing you need to remember. So when I enter, right? Of course, in the source code, you can see that the text is in the next line. Text is in the next line, but browser don't care about your enter. Right? For browser, this is hello 1, 2 in the same line. Okay, hello 1, 2 in the same line. So browser doesn't care you enter. If you want to talk to the browser, you have no other way but to talk with tags. Okay, it is same here also. Okay, so let's say something like even inside something like this. Okay, say I will say alpha, beta. Now I use enter, but browser don't care about enter. For browser, this is heading 1 alpha beta in the same line. Right? So therefore, your browser doesn't respond or understand enter. So if you want to say, go to the next line, you must use BR. BR means break line. It's a tag. So that will take you this to the next line. So if you want to take you to this slide, that is how you need to tell. There's no other way. Okay. Right. So that is another thing you need to remember. So if you want, you can have free text, but it is not a very best good practice. Usually we add text inside paragraph, heading one, and so on. Okay. Paragraph, heading one, and so on. So that is the best practice. Okay. Right. So when it comes to adding text, I already explained the use of BR tag. Okay. So then if you just want to add some plain text, don't just add it in your body. Best practice is put it into a paragraph. Okay. Because then it's very structured. Okay. Uh, and again, if you need blank lines, make sure you use BR, not blank line. If you want to take it to the next line, no point using enter, always use BR. Okay. So therefore, this text will look something like this. So simple text one, and in the same line, you will have simple text two because there's no BR. But here you have BR, so therefore simple text three will go into the next line. Okay. Here also, there will be this line, this will go to the next line. But because this is a new paragraph, anyway, this is going to the next line, and also there will be empty space, extra line. Because P is a block content, not a inline content. So you need to think about those things. You need to experiment with those things and understand the concept. Okay. So then you can have headings. So there are 6 levels of headings. Heading 1 to heading 6. Okay, heading 1 to heading 6. Heading 1 is the biggest and heading 6 is the smallest. Okay, heading 6 is the smallest. Okay, so very rarely we go for heading 6. Usually we use heading 1, heading 2, and so on. Okay, right. So those things you can try out by yourself. So the next important thing when it comes to working with text is when you want to use space. For single space bar is okay. But if you need more than one space, you have to use NBSP entity. Now remember, already we use some elements or tags and attributes. I told you that XML says you can have elements or tags, you can have attributes, and you can have entities. So this is our first entity defined in HTML, ampersand NBSP. If it is entity, always we start with ampersand, no and. Then your element name followed by semicolon. Okay. So therefore, this is ampersand NBSP, non-breakable space. Okay. So let's see how it works. Okay. Say I want, let's have BR here also. So let's have, okay, let's not, I don't need a BR here because I can go for a paragraph. Right. So here, let's say I want to print something like this. I want to print hello with some spaces. Of course, I can use one space world. So that is fine. So just one space. This space is visible now. If I refresh, you can see one space is there. But what about if I need more than one space? Say few spaces. So though I have so many spaces, still for browser it is one space. I refresh, still one space. Okay. But if I view page source, right, view page source, you can see there are a lot of spaces. This is what your web page got, but it doesn't care about these extra spaces. Okay, extra spaces. So it just display it as one space. So if you need more than one space, the only option is use of ampersand in BSP. You can have any number of ampersand in BSPs. Okay, say you need about 5, 6 spaces. So you use it like that. So then your browser respect that. So then your browser respect that those are these number of spaces are there. Okay, so that's another important thing. Okay. Right. Another thing is horizontal ruler. So if you want to have a rule line, horizontal line, you can use HR tag. Again, HR is not a content tag. Therefore, you can use single tag to represent both start and end. Okay. And by default, it's take the default color and it take 100% of your browser window width. But if you want, you can have only percentage of your browser window, and also you can align it if it is not more than, if it is less than 100. Of course, if it is 100%, your alignment has nothing to do. Okay. So this is an example. So this is a simple horizontal ruler that is take 100% of the window and default color. And this one you can see we have used color red and take only 25% of the window, your window, browser window, and align it to right. Okay, align it to right. So let me copy paste this. So you had time to experiment with this also. I'd ask you to do it by yourself. Okay. Right. So this horizontal ruler is red. It take to 25. So for this horizontal ruler is a default color 100%, but this one 25% and align right. Because by default it's a align left. Right? By default it's a line left. Okay, so why it is on not taking 25%? Most probably because this I just copy paste. So these must be proper double quotes. That happens when you copy paste from PowerPoint. Okay. Right, now it should work. Now you can see it's red and right align, and it take only 95% of the, not the 95% of the screen, 95% of the window. Sorry, 25% of the window. Okay, 25% of the window. So you must know exactly what is it. Right? Some students think that it's a 25% of the screen width. No, 25% of the window width in this case, of course, because I specify it as 25%. Okay. Right. If you have any questions or anything that you have doubts, you need to ask and clarify. Okay, because now your exams are also getting near. So once the A-level results are released, maybe end of this month, they will publish the ask you to apply for the exams, and they will publish the exam dates. Okay. Right. So now we move on to text formatting tags. So there are large number of tags we can use it to format text or style text. Again, I told you this is not a best practice because formatting must be ideally done by CSS. But because these tags are available, you need to learn. These are very old tags. Okay. Just give me 1 minute. Okay, so what are those tags? So you have the bold tag, P, italic tags, underline tag. So then somewhat newer tags are there for these tags as alternative sort of a rather than bold. Most of the developers prefer to use strong tag. For look and feel, it looks the same. Strong and bold will look the same. Rather than italics, we have now EM tag, emphasize tag. Then there are a few more tags like strike tag, del tag, ins tag, and so on. Okay. So strike means the line is in the middle. Del is also looks like strike, but it has a semantic meaning. Semantic meaning of this content is deleted. So usually with del, you have the ins. So this is deleted, then this is inserted. So that is what is being. So it is not for display purposes. It is, of course, display also you can see the strike and underline, but it has a semantic meaning saying, okay, this word is deleted and instead we insert this. Okay, right. So let's first look at some of the, I'm not going to take each and every tag. Okay, right. I will just save this and say save as, because I want to have few exercises, all files, 02 text formatting. .html, and make sure you use all files. Okay, otherwise it won't save it. Okay, you can see here also it says encoding is UTF-8 because my web page is going to have only uh, English letters. Okay, right. So I will delete these things. Right, from this point onwards, I will be using Notepad++, because Notepad++ is easier to use than Notepad. But if you want, you can just continue with Notepad. So I'd say save. I think you are already familiar with Notepad++. So you can, because we use it in SQL, Notepad++. Just download, it's freely available. Okay. Right. So now I can open it using Notepad++, my second one, because it's give me a little bit better convenience. Okay. Right. So this is now I will be writing some say paragraph. Right. It gives you a little bit of help, but it doesn't give you a big help. So what we need is an editor that gives you a little bit of help, but not much help. If it is too much of help, you don't learn. You can't learn. So that is the reason. Okay. For example, software developers, they use different editors, but because that is they have already learned it, they are now using it. But you guys don't use very sophisticated editors. Okay. Right. Say I want to say this is bold text. Okay. Say I want to make it bold. So what you have to do? So use B. And until you have the closing B, it will be bold. Okay. So now I can open it. Let me open it with Firefox. Make it the default. How to make it default? Yeah, always. You can say this part is bold. Now I don't want to do it one by one for you guys, right? But anyway, I'll just I will have the BR tag, otherwise it won't go to the next line. Say this is italics tag. Let's say italics. And this is strong. Strong will look pretty 100%, sort of 100% like bold. Okay. And EM will looks pretty much like italics. EM. Visually, you won't see any difference. You can see this and okay, I will change this wording because this is not, this is strong text and this is EM text, emphasized text. And you will find that bold and strong are pretty much the same. Italics and emphasize are pretty much the same. Okay. So you know that this is a computer language, right? HTML is a markup language. And this is a computer language. Now, when you look at this code, can you see something odd as a software developer? Say, now you must have the mindset of a programmer, IT professional, software developer, right? So can you find, or can you, if you are a critical thinker, now you must ask a question. Remember, HTML is a computer language, not a human language. Right? Do you have any question that you need to ask about this code? The use of bold tag, italic tag, strong tag, emphasize tag, as an IT professional or someone who learn IT. And remember, this is a computer language, markup language. Do you have any question? I will give you 1 minute or 2 minutes for you to think. If you come up with that question, you are superb. So that means you have the mindset of a IT professional. But don't worry if you can't come up with the question. I don't take it as a negative thing because this is, I'm asking very advanced sort of a question, not advanced question. I'm just checking whether you have sort of a superb mindset for IT professional, extraordinary mindset. Of course, that is not needed when you're doing A level. So think about bold tag, strong tag, then italics tag, EM tag. How does computer languages work? Because you have done programming also. And do you have any question or any comment for this? Right, I'll give you 2 minutes for you to think. And if you have a question or if you have any opinion or you have any question, you can ask about these tags. Otherwise, okay, I'm not. I'm still happy because I'm not. I'm asking something extra. I'll give you 1 minute, 1 more minute. Okay. So the answer, your question you should have asked is, remember in computer languages, programming languages, for one thing, you have only one keyword. Okay. One thing is represented by one keyword. So that is how the computer languages are made. Because no point having two words for one thing. Okay, two words for one thing. Have you ever thought why English is very popular, right? So, so the common answer is because English people conquer the world, right? And they spread English, but that is not the real reason why English is very popular for science, engineering, technology. information. So the reason is English is a language where most of the time for one concept you have one word. For example, if you take something like this, so this is tree. But if you take something like Sinhala, Gasa, Gaha, Vrukshaya, Turu, Pena, Shakaya, and English people will laugh. Why do you guys want hundreds of words for one concept? Right? If you take something like this, so for English people, this is sun. But for us, hero, hira, Ravi, right? Tatina, Tatina. Surya. For us, this is so many things. But for English people, sun. For example, in Sri Lanka, there's a paper called Dinamina. Dinamina is another name for sun. Dinamina. Dinamina. Okay. But in in UK, there's a paper called sun. The sun. So their paper is the sun because they have only sun, one word. Because we guys have so many. Rivira. Sometime back, there was another paper called Rivira, coming from Ravi. But for them, the paper is also sun, the object is also sun. So that is their thinking. This is our thinking. So our thinking is let's have so many words for same thing. So that is why you guys don't ask these questions because you are mostly coming from Sri Lankan culture. This is pretty much same for Tamil also. Okay, Tamil also. So then now therefore if it is English person, or maybe someone from the Western Europe countries, they will definitely ask, why do you need two tags to represent the same thing? That is waste of our, right? We have to learn two tags. That is waste of our uh, youth studying so many things, right? Why don't we just have one tag, one meaning? So why these guys introduce another tag when you already have the bold tag? Oh, why don't you just replace bold with strong then? If you really, really need another name, but no one asks, right? The reason is because of your culture, because you are used to those things. You are used to those things. So the main reason is actually it's a very crazy idea for me, right? But anyway, people do some crazy things as well. So this bold is visual thing, but strong is more semantic thing. Semantic means meaningful. Italics is visual thing. Emphasize means semantic. Semantic thing. It has a meaning other than display meaning. So therefore, they thought strong is a better word than be bold. Emphasize is a better word than italics because it has a better semantic meaning. So that is why they came up with these new tags. But anyway, what has that had made us learn two more tags. Actually, they should have replaced these bold and italics, but that is also not something we can do because there are plenty of websites and so on already using those things. So therefore, anyway, now we need to learn all those things, but don't use bold tag anymore. Use strong. Don't use italic tag. Use EM. Or best thing is don't use these tags at all because you can use CSS. Okay. But in the exams, yes, whether it's bold or italics or strong or EM, you must know all this. Okay. But anyway, the idea is replace bold with strong, replace italics with EM. Okay. And of course, you have the some new tags like underline tag also, U tag. Okay. And the del tag, emphasize, insert tags. So those things you can try out by yourself. So then you have the big tag, small tag, sub and sub. Okay. So if you use big tag, it will be little bit bigger than normal size. Okay. So this is big text. I'll use big tag here. So only this part will be in a bigger text. And similarly, if I use small tag, again, these are not the best practices. We should do these things using CSS, but this is for your exam. You can see this is little bit bigger than this, and this is little bit smaller than this. Little bit smaller than this by default text. So then you have the sub and sub. Okay, I'll use something like exam. The exam will be on 12th August. Just okay. Right. So then the PR. Now, if I want to make it superscript, of course, this will just show normal way. Okay. But if I want to make it superscript like a power, you can use sub tag. Superscript sub. That is called the sub tag. And similarly, you have the subscript. Say x1 plus x2 equal 10. Say I want to make 1 and 2 subscript. So then use sub, another tag. Close sub. Another sub. Close it. So now it will be something like x1 plus x2 is 10. Right? You can see subscript. And if you want, you can mix these things. Okay. For example, you say let's have another paragraph. I say this text is bold and italics. So you want to make both bold and italics. Now you can say something like, say bold, close your bold, and you want to make italics also, maybe underline. Okay. You, again, the best practice is if you use U tag after B, you first close the U tag. But if you don't do it, it doesn't make any error, but that is best practice because then it's comply with XML standard. That's a bold and underline. Likewise, you can have any number of combinations as long as it doesn't conflict. It's both bold and underline. Right. Any questions? Any questions about text formatting? Of course, del and insert, you can have a look at it by yourself. Because I have given you some more examples, okay? Right. So the next text formatting tag is font tag. Font tag. So font tag is very versatile tag because you can set the font size, font face, font color. Again, this is not the best practice. Best practice is CSS, but this is available from the beginning. So therefore, people still use it. So this is, okay, let's do an example. I'll just say this is fancy text. I will use the font tag. Font tag. I will use size. So there are a few attributes. Size. Let's say 7. So then this will be a size 7 font will be used for this particular paragraph. Okay, it's fairly big. Then I can give the color. Color, there are 3 ways you can give. RGB value, hexadecimal, or if it is a well-known color, you can give the color name. I will use the color name because we will be using color a lot of places. Say green. Remember, American English must be used because HTML, all these things, they developed by American people. So therefore, they use their English. Okay. Now it's in green. So now if you want, you can use the face, font face. For example, I can say Arial. Okay, Arial. By default, it's my browser default color. I think in my case, the browser default color is Times New Roman. That is why these are all Times New Roman. So if you want to check your browser default font, go to the tools, settings, and then go for something like search for something like font, and you can see default font. This is my default for the Sinhala. So sans serif Times New Roman, right? So that is why it is Times New Roman. Okay. But if you want to override, so therefore, if I write this page, and if I load, when I load it in my browser, it's Times New Roman. Say I give this to you, and you open this in your browser. If in your browser the default font is something else, like Calibri, so then this will be displayed in Calibri font. So therefore, when we write something, so this is a very important thing. When we write a web page and add this type of contents like text, there is no guarantee in which font it is displayed. Okay, because you have not specified the font. So therefore, so this kind of text will be displayed in the default font of the browser. So it can be for 100 different browsers, the default font can be 100 different fonts. Right? 100 different fonts. So same web page is viewed by 100 people in 100 different ways. Okay. Is it good or is it bad? So those are the things you need to think if you want to become a professional web developer. Right? In a way, it's good because we don't force them because their default font is what they like, and we let they look at our web page the way they like, the way user like, user's favorite font. So in a way, that is good. We don't force our content to be displayed in our preferred font. But at the same time, it is bad also. Maybe this page is going to be really nice in a particular font. But if you don't specify that, it is not displayed in that font, rather it is displayed in user's font. So therefore, those are pros and cons. But anyway, most of the time we specify the font, but not just one font. Maybe we can specify few fonts, maybe 3-4 fonts. So there's a reason for that also. Here I just specify only Arial, okay? Just one font. Now it will be displayed in Arial font. This is Times New Roman because that is earlier I had not specified that. So therefore the default is Times New Roman by my browser. So therefore this is displayed in Times New Roman. But now in my web page, if you look at the view page source, you can see only the size and color is there. Anyway, I said the area. Sorry, I have said the Arial also. Sorry for that. Okay. Now let me change it to something else. Say rather than Arial, I will say Courier New or Courier. Now you will see the difference. Now it's a change from a, this is not Times New Roman. You can see Times New Roman, there are edges. Now this will change to Courier. You can see. So whatever the font we specify will be used. Okay. But the best practice is don't set only one, set few. Few of similar font. So something closer to the Courier. Okay. So I just call it Courier New and so on. So then the advantage is if the user's machine doesn't have the Courier font, right? So maybe that user's machine has Courier New. So then Courier New is, or maybe that user's machine has Arial. So if Courier is not there, then Arial font is used and so on. Of course, if none of these fonts we have specified in that machine, it will be using whatever the default font. Okay, so therefore best practice is specify more than one font so that if the first font is not there, you use the second font and third font and so on. Okay, so there is an alternative. So those who have done a little bit of web app development, if you have, there's another alternative. Can someone tell me? Of course, I'm not expecting answers from you guys. I'm just checking whether you guys are really interested in web development. Because there are some, I have seen some grade 8 students who are experts in web development. So they are managing websites. So if you are just that kind of a person, so there are some IT students, right? When they are into the A-level ICT, they have mastered and they are doing their own development also. Anyone? Do we have another alternative? Because here we rely on the font in the browser. So there's another concept called web fonts, where font is downloaded from the internet and use it. So then we don't have to worry because it's a web font. Okay. So likewise, there are different solutions. But anyway, you don't have to worry about those things. Just remember font tag has size, color, face. Face, you can have multiple faces, font faces. If the first font face is not available in that machine, the second one will be tried and so on. If none of these are there, then the browser default font is used. Okay. Right. So there are three font families. This is again for your information. If you are a web developer, you must know these three families. Serif fonts. So serif fonts have edges like this. You can see red edges. Of course, it is not displayed in red. This is just to highlight. But serif fonts have edges. It's very classical font, old-fashioned fonts. So then you have the sans serif fonts. In sans serif fonts, you don't have the edges. So they look much simple. So simple means modern. You know that modernization means getting simple. Okay, getting simple. So therefore, usually sans serif fonts like Arial, so they don't have that kind of. So this is a sans serif font. These are both serif fonts. You can see they are very simple, no edges. Then you have the monospace font. In monospace font, each letter take the same width. Because if it is not a monospace, different letters take different width. You can see this is not a monospace font. So you can see R takes smaller width, something like O take bigger width. But if you write it in monospace font, or if you use a monospace font, each character looks the same. So there are practical usages. Say you are using 3-letter code. If you want to look very nice, you can use a monospace. So then something like USA, right? JPY. So they will take the same space. Otherwise, they will go here and there because some letters take higher width, some letters take smaller width. So that kind of a formatting is required. You go for monospace. Okay. Right. So that is anyway little bit additional thing for your information. Okay. Right. So remember, we can specify the color using the uh, color attribute. Okay, color attribute. So there are 3 ways you can specify color. For well-known colors, you can use the name like black, white, red, blue, and so on. But if you are interested in very specific colors, that is usually the case, you can either write the RGB like this, RGB and within bracket red value, green value, blue value, or hash hexadecimal value for red, hexadecimal value for green, hexadecimal value for blue. So this first 2 digit is red value, hexadecimal. So then the green and finally the blue. And it goes from 0, 0 to FF. Smallest is 0, 0, biggest FF. So you can find these RGB values by your favorite tool, or if you are searching, like for example, I usually use flat colors. Say I like this color. So then I will click it and it says what is the hexadecimal. I can just copy and paste. Okay. Just copy and paste. Oh, this is my RGB values in decimals. I can just copy and paste. Okay. So say I want this color. I just copy it. Remember we have it. So rather than green, I'll say something like that. Okay. So then I will refresh the page. So there is a hello one. Let me open the page again. Right, you can see now it is using that particular color. Okay, the same as this color. Right, any questions? Because we are done with text and text formatting. We are done with text and text formatting. Okay. Right, so few more text formatting. Okay, let's finish the few more text formatting also. So then you have the quote tag, or we call it short quote. Short quote means Q tag. So that will be give you this kind of a impression when you use Q tag. Of course, those things you need to try out by yourself, okay? Because you can just type this and try out by yourself. That is called the Q tag or the quote tag. Okay. So then you have the block quote. Block quote, the tag is block quote. So if you use block quote, there won't be any quote tags or there won't be any symbolic things like something like this. No, you don't get something like that for block quote. Only thing is it will be indented. It will be indented and that's all. So that is the difference between block quote and normal quote. Normal quote will add this kind of symbols, but block quote will simply indent that part. Okay, so you can see block quote is a much more simple tag, simple look and feel than quote. So again, the first came the quote, then came the block quote, because we are moving towards the modernization, right? Modern humans, so they like simple things. So they thought, okay, quotes are too much. Let's just indent it. So that is why they later introduced the block quote tag. Okay, no quotes added, just the indentation. And also when you quote something, usually you prefer to give from where you quote it. So there's another attribute called cite that you can give the reference. But anyway, it is not displayed to the users unless if of course if the user check the view source code, user can see. But these are again more for web crawlers, search engine agents, and so on, so that they can understand that okay, this code is from this particular website. Okay. Right, so that is called block quote. Then you have the pre-tag. Pre-tag. Now I told you that your browser doesn't care about enter. Right. So I would say this is some text with weird formatting. But though it looks weird formatting, right? This is not respected by your browser. Okay, so let's have a P. Right. So it doesn't matter how many spaces I'm having, browser doesn't care it. Right. For browser, this is your text. So it doesn't care because I'm not talking with NBSPs and BRs and so on. But if you want to, if you want your browser to care about your spaces and enters and so on, so then there's a way to do that, though it is very rarely done. So that is use pre-tag, pre-formatted. So then it care about your enter, spaces, and so on. You can see now it care. Now then you will ask why are we having so many these spaces then? So the reason is because it care your spaces, it care about these spaces also. That is why it has come. Okay. So therefore, if you don't want that to happen, maybe you can just take this to somewhere here. Okay, because it care about those spaces also now because it is inside pre-tag. Right. So now anyway, it care about your spaces now, your enter. And also you can see it has changed the font also because the pre-tag use the default font from your browser. Right. So that is called pre-tag. Okay. So if you have pre-tag, yes, your spaces, enters are considered. Otherwise, those are ignored. Right. So that's it about text and text formatting. Any question? Any question about text and text formatting? No question? Right. So we'll take 5 minutes break and then we'll move on to list and then hyperlinks and so on. Okay. Right. So now it is 4:16. We'll start at 4:21. It's very important that you do these things in a practical manner. Okay. 4:21. Okay, so let's continue with list now. So there are three types of list in HTML. That is ordered list, unordered list, and definition list. Okay, so ordered list are something like 1, 2, 3, or ABC or something like that, or Roman numbers. Unordered list are something like bullet list, and definition list is something like a dictionary, definition, description, definition, description. Okay, so let's quickly do some examples. I'll call this 03 list. I'll share you the code at the end. Right, so this is an ordered list. Okay, let's say unordered list. Say courses. I just use H2 just to make it nice. Okay, courses. I'll say these are the courses. Say ordered list, OL, sorry, unordered list, UL. And then this is the end of the UL. So then you can have any number of LI. Say BIT list item. Right, so just remember the name also. Unordered list, list item. Say FIT, say A-level ICT. And this is unordered list. Let me open it. You can see it's an unordered list. It's an unordered list. And if I want to make it ordered list, okay, let's create a different one. Let's say steps. Say ready, set, go or something. Still LI is the same, but now it is what I need is ordered list. So then it is not UL, OL, ordered list. So by default, it will use 1, 2, 3. Here by default, it is bullet. Okay. 1, 2, 3. So this is an unordered list with all default values. This is ordered list with all default values. Now, of course, if you want to change the default values, you can use, for example, if it is a unordered list, right? And if you want to change rather than normal this, if you want square or something, you can say type square, right? Type square. By default, type is this. Right here, maybe we can say type here. For ordered list, it's very clever idea. You just say if it is number, you can just say 1, 2, 3. Of course, by default, it is 1, 2, 3, right? So if you need something like letters, you can say capital A, first letter. And this is square now, and this is ABC now. You can see. And if you need Roman numbers, say simple Roman numbers, a simple line. A simple line. And sometimes you want to reverse it, like not 1, 2, 3. Maybe you want 3, 2, 1. So then there's a toggle attribute called reverse. So there's a toggle attribute called reversed. So you don't have to say true, false. If the attribute is there, that is true. Okay. Reverse. Then it will be 3 to 1 in Roman, simple Roman numbers. Okay. Right. So that is how you work with ordered list and unordered list. So then you can have definition list, DL. Let's say something like acronyms. So it starts with DL, definition list, ends with DL. But here you have only LI. But in definition list, you have two tags, definition title, DT. Okay, DT. And then you have DL, definition type, sorry, DD, definition data. Say this is US, I say United States. So this is just example, okay? So you can have any number of DT, DD pairs now. Okay. Say UK, United Kingdom. And so on. You can have any number of, it just indent, that's all. It's very simple list. It just indent definition title, definition data. Definition title, definition data. Right. So any questions? Because you are done with list also now. You are done with the list, ordered list, unordered list, and definition list. Okay, definition list. Right. So there is a way to specify paths so that we will understand while we do the images. Okay, because in images you need to specify where is your image. Okay. Right. So therefore, our next topic is how to add an image to your web page. It's super easy. You just need to use the img tag. It's a contentless inline tag. So therefore, you can just use it as a single tag. So then the important attributes are src, option, that is the mandatory attribute. All the others are optional, like width, height. You can have alternate text, alternative text, alignment, border. So those are the other attributes depending on your requirement. Okay. Right. So first of all, we need image. So let's download an image. Say sunset or something. I will download this image. I'll just create a folder and put it there, right? Of course, if you want, you can just keep it in the same folder, but I will just create a new folder. I'll call it img folder. Okay. So I'll give it a name also. It's a JPEG file in this case. I will call it sunset. I just copied the image because in order to do that, we need the image first. Okay. Right. So now I'll coming back to this one. Right. I'll create a new file. Say 04. I'll call it image hyperlinks demo. Okay. Image hyperlinks demo. Because we'll look at the hyperlinks also using this one. Okay. I'll delete this. Right. So how to add image? It's very easy. Just use img tag. And it's a contentless tag. So therefore you can use a combined version. The minimum you need src, source. So this is where I will be using the relative. Relative means relative to my current folder. The folder where this particular HTML file is, I'm giving you the path. Okay. So this is my current folder. IMG is a subfolder. So therefore I'll say IMG, then the file name, of course, sunset.jpg is my file name. And that's all. So that will add the image. So let's have H1. Hello. H1. Hello. Just to have a heading also. Right. So now I can load my page. So in this folder, image must be there, otherwise it won't be able to load the image. And this is the image. So by default, this is the same size as my image. My image is this size, so therefore, for example, if I open this image in the browser, okay, this image in the browser, so this is the size. So the same size is displayed in my image also. Okay, you can see. So that because I didn't change the size, right? I didn't change the size. But if you want to change the size, close this. Right. If you want to close the size or change the size, you can use width and height. You can give it in pixels. Say width is 400 pixel, height HEIGHT, right? Height, say 300. So now it will be 400 by 300 page image. You can see that is not the default natural size. Okay. And of course, if you want, you can give something like PowerPoint. Just give me 1 minute. I lost my PowerPoint presentation. Oh, now we have it. Right. Then, of course, you can give the alignment and ALT. For example, by default, it is left align. By default, left align. But if you want to align it somewhere else, right, say align. Maybe center, CENT, center, CENTRE or CENTER, CENTER. So likewise, you can, why is that? CENT, maybe it's TRE. ALIGN, align, correct, right? No. Why is that? TER. Maybe some special character or something wrong. Sorry. Let me have the line before SRC. No. Let's do the view page source. Width, height, align. What's wrong with that? Let me copy paste. Let's say right. Why is that? I think this is still center. Why is that? I just change it to right. HTML04. Let me open it again. View page source. Still it says center. But my code says right. Okay, it does not save first. Okay, now let me check it. Right. So I think that was something like a caching issue or something. Okay. Now you can see it is in the right. Now let's take it to the center. CENTER. Make sure Control S save. Right. Oh, center is not working. Center is not working, right? For some weird reason, center alignment is not working in my message. CENTER. Yeah, for some reason, center alignment is not working, but the left and right is working. I'll just have a look at it, maybe my local issue. Let me double check with a different browser. Is it still there? Yeah, maybe it's maybe some caching issue. Okay, so otherwise, usually the center should work. Okay, right. So that is how you work with image. Anyway, I'll have a look at why alignment center is not working, but the left and right is working. By default, anyway, it's left. Okay, right. So that is how you add image. Okay, image. So then you can have hyperlinks. Hyperlinks. And remember, image is inline tag. So therefore, if you add some text here, remember it doesn't care about your enter. Your text will go right next to the image in the same line. So that is very important that you need to understand that image is an inline tag. You can see text is here. Text is here. Okay. So if you want to go take your text to the next line, make sure you have the BR because it's an inline tag. So far, most of the tag like paragraph, headings, those were block tags. Of course, the text formatting tags are block, not block tag. Then the list are also block tags. After the list, it goes to the next line. But image is an inline tag. Inline tag. Right. So next we will move on to hypertext. Of course, hypertext is one of the most important concept. That is why HTML is called hypertext markup language. Okay. So hypertext means, or in general, we call it hyperlinks. Hyperlink can be either hypertext or hyperimage. Okay. So let's create a hypertext. Okay. Say, let's go to a paragraph. I'll call this. Okay. This, oh, let's say visit Aurora website. Now I want to make this, of course, still it is just a text. Still it is just a text, okay? You can see. I'll make this image also somewhat smaller. Say 300 by 200, 180. Otherwise, it's very big image, okay? Right. So this is Aurora website, but this is not a hyperlink yet. So if I want to make this hyperlink, I will say something like A, and I want to make only this part hyperlink. So therefore, I'll close A, but make sure you have the href, hyperreference, where you want to visit. And make sure you give the full path, including the HTTP part. Otherwise, it won't, sometimes it may not work. Right? HTTP, say Aurora cs.lk or www, that is mostly optional now. Now it's a hyperlink. Now you can see there's a link here. And if you click, it will open the that particular website. Okay, so that is link into a different website. Okay, different website. And if you want, you can make an image also hyper image. Remember, this is just an image. It is not a hyper image. So therefore, if I click on this image, nothing happens because this is just an image. But if you want, I can make it a hyperlink as hyper image as well. So very easy, just have a tag. Wrap it with a tag. Super simple. So then again, you can have the href. Href. Say you want to visit another site, say http cnn.com. Okay. So now my image is also hyper image. You can see this is a hyper text. This is a hyper image. If I click, it will go open the CNN website. Okay, CNN website. Right. So that is how you create a hyper image. Just wrap it with a tag. Any text you can make it hypertext by wrapping with a tag again. Make sure you have the href attribute. Otherwise, it doesn't know where to go. Okay. If you have the href attributes only, you will see that color change and blah, blah, blah. Otherwise, it will be just like a normal text. And when you create a hyperlink, this is I'm linking to external websites or web pages. If you want, you can link it to your own page. Okay. So let's have another paragraph. Okay, I'd say visit hello world example. Now I want to visit our first page, a tag. Okay. So again, I'd say href. Because that page is in the same folder, I can just give the name itself only. That is 01 hello.html. 01 hello.html. So that is, since we link it to a page in the same site, you don't have need HTTP and blah, blah, blah. Just give it. Because otherwise, if it is in a subfolder, you would have to give the subfolder name and page name. Okay. Right. So let's see whether it's work. Right. Whether it's load the hello world example. Yes. So you can link it to external site, or you can link it to a different page in the same site or the same app. So the next thing is you can link your page to a different part of the same page. So that is called anchor. Okay, so let's assume that far below, I will have some BRs, otherwise you won't see it properly. Few BRs so that you can see it. And after text also, I will have few BRs. Next, let's have something like H2 or something. This is another section in the same page. Okay, say contact us. Right. So now what I want is have another, let's see, I have a paragraph. See, I want to say visit contact us. But the contact us is in the same page. Little bit below. Okay, little bit below. Still I haven't added. Okay. Now if you look at this, if I have still I have not make it a hyperlink, but you can see contact us is below. What I want is I want to take up. Okay, I want to take up. Let's add some few more BRs. Right. So how to do that? You can have hyperlink again. A. But this time I want to link it to this part, which is below or in the same page, anywhere in the same page. So what I have to do is first in my, where I want to link, I need to have ID. ID or name. I'll use the ID. I'll just call, you can give any unique name like CNT or something, any text. So then here you can say href right? href hash the ID that you want to link it to. So then it is same page, different part. Same page. So so this will load this particular section to the top. Of course, it is already below there. Let's look at it. Now you can see this is a hyperlink. So this part is below. Now if I click on contact us, you can see it's loaded to that place. Right? It's very quickly came up. Okay. So that is hyperlink into different part of the same page. So here, so this is the hyperlink. Make sure you use the hash and the ID where you want to hyperlink. Okay, where you want to hyperlink. So likewise, you can take from one place to the other place of the same page. So this concept is heavily used in wiki pages. Say wiki Java or something. I just want to go to one of the wiki page. Now, when you click on, now these are all in the same page. You can see those are all what? Those are all link into different anchors. Okay. For example, syntax part is above there. You can see syntax part is there. If I go somewhere and click on the syntax, it will load it to the top. Okay. Right. So that is how you add hyperlink to the different part of the same page. Or you can, if you want to load a different page, but not the top, a small sub part. So then you can use something like even some other page and then hash this part. Hash this part. So that will load that page, but not the top of the page, rather that particular section of the page. So do it as exercise. Create this kind of a uh, section, this kind of section in a different page, and load that to the top when you click a hyperlink here. Okay, so then it will be something. If it is your own page, it will be 01 hello HTML hash that page ID. Okay, content ID. So then it will not load the top, rather it will load that part to the top. Okay, so do it as exercise. Do it as exercise. Right, so now we are done with, you can see that we are almost half. Okay, we have done the images, we have done hyperlinks and anchors as well. Okay, hyper images. Right, so next we have tables. So tables and forms, and then multimedia like audio, video. So then we are done. Okay, we are done. So next class we can finish it. Okay, definitely we can finish it. So that is, so it took about, it take about two and a half session to finish HTML. Okay, so now check your syllabus also and see whether we have done covered, right? So basic text, right? So then H1 to H6 paragraph, BR, underline, bold, italics, font, right? Adding comments in HTML. So then today we did list, an image. So next time we'll do the table. The table, audio, video, and we'll do forms also. Forms are required when you are doing PHP. Okay, so then we have the CSS and bit of JavaScript. Right, so then we'll move on to PHP. So this is the last big topic, right? So when this is done, it's like your syllabus is pretty much done. Okay, right. We stop at this point, right? Thank you.